right, here we go. Sarah here. Welcome back to another episode of You're Fucking Welcome. I am sorry that this is a day late, but it is a day late for very good reason. I am really excited to just share with you transparently today a big decision that I've made in my business, and that is that I am going to be closing the Unstoppable Women Entrepreneurs Facebook group, which so many of you know and are aware that that has been my home on the internet, right? The way that I've always taught even Facebook groups is I want you to essentially throw the greatest party you've ever thrown, right? And invite people to it accordingly. And it's this place that, again, you want to be, you want to hang out. So that's how I've treated my community over the past couple of years. And over the past couple of years, we have made millions of dollars. And so much of it has come from having a free Facebook group. As I'm recording this, our group is at about 13,000 members. And I think the question for a lot of people then, right, based on everything that I just said, is why the hell would you close it? And more than that, I think I hear a lot of people, I mean, obviously this is just such a thing in general in all ways in life, but I think that there's this misconception that, quality or quantity is quantity, and more people is good, is always better. We want more of whatever it is. And again, that's the better option. And for a couple different reasons, I have really found that that's not true when it comes to my community, or at least it doesn't feel true for me. And so I'm saying that because I feel like I've seen so many people over the past couple of weeks, and I've heard this over the years, when somebody does make a decision to close such a large community or close, something that has a good chunk of people, maybe it's a different kind of platform, people have I've seen so many people criticize that and why would you do that even if not everybody's buying, or even if only some of those people wind up being your ideal customers, it's still worth it. And all of those points are so valid, but I'm saying all of that because this feels like such a personal decision for me. And it has, not to say that it doesn't have anything to do with the money. I would be lying to you to say that I'm not thinking about the money that my business makes, because what sense would that make, right? I'm an entrepreneur. Of course I'm thinking about the money my business makes. But so much of this decision is coming down to how I want to feel, more so than does it make logical sense to close this or to not close this, okay? And so I want to just give you a couple specific reasons. This could be a very long episode, but I'm doing my best to really rein myself in here because there's a lot to talk about. But so the first point, the biggest thing that I want to say to you and make you understand, right, is one of the things that I have preached, and one of the things that I believe still to this day so deeply, is that community equals cash, right? I go back to my business 5 years ago, or maybe a little bit more than that now, and so much of it was this operation of when can I get the next sale? When can I get the next customer? What do I have to do to book that next client? And I know that so many people are, especially in the beginning, wind up stuck in that cycle, and that cycle made me so miserable. When I finally, in 2017, shifted into really pouring my heart and soul into my Facebook group, my private Facebook group, I really, in a whole new way, really understood how important it is to not put the money first. And again, I feel like that sounds like such a shitty thing to say, but when you're broke, you put the money first, right? It's only when you make money that you stop putting the money first. So when I was in a place where I was so broke and I was so desperate for the next sale, all I could see was, again, how can I get that next client, versus really wanting to pour into and give to my community simply because I wanted to, right? And so when I started doing that, and aside from the fact that it helped me in so many personal ways, me being able to show up and, be more of myself and have people in my corner and clapping for me, that helped me on such a personal level, especially at a difficult time in my life. But it was a situation where it became so freaking obvious to me that if I put people first, I have people who therefore will buy from me whenever I sell something, and I never have to wonder or guess when a sale is coming from next, right? And so the combination of those things, the fact that I felt that connection with my people, and the fact that it was like an insurance policy, if you will, that I always knew that my business was steady when it came to income because of it. It's again been something where it's like the community, I feel cheesy when I'm saying this, but I really can't state enough like how much running a free Facebook group has done for me over the past few years. And again, yes, the money, of course, like my business has thrived and has functioned largely because of my work in my Facebook group. But it has given me so much more than that. Like I've truly appreciated the connections and the growth that like you all, right, have allowed in that group. And so the big thing here is that over the past, I don't want to say a past few years, but let's just say the past, let's say year and a half, right? We've definitely been the tens of thousands for that long now. I don't know exactly. I couldn't give you exact numbers or exact dates because I quite honestly don't really pay that much attention to it. But the point is that as it has grown larger, naturally, right, the sense of intimacy, the sense of connection, it just tends to dwindle. And that's everything from the fact that like there's more people. So, the amount of people who are actually going to see your post that number is going to be smaller. But, you grow a big Facebook group, especially called Unstoppable Women Entrepreneurs, you wind up finding a lot of people who are there simply to sell themselves or promote themselves. And I'm not trying to act as though like they're wrong for any of that, right? But the reason, to go back to what I was saying, is that the reason that I thrived and the reason that the Facebook group was so successful for me was not because I was like, let's drive up the numbers, let's get as many people in here as possible. It's because, again, like I said, that I really, really, really have valued that sense of community. And so everyone thinks that they want a big group. Everyone thinks that they want more people. And over the past few years, again, like a year and a half to about 2 years, I have just really felt like it was growing to the point where that intimacy and that connection was not in place the way it once was. But until last week, I didn't really feel like I had a solution for it. Gretchen and I have talked about it a few times, and we considered kind of like just, okay, let's create a free Facebook group. And just in the sense of like, okay, kind of weed out the kind of like stale blood, if you will, like the people who weren't engaging, and kind of like making sure it was a more authentic and more connected group of people. But that didn't feel exactly right. And so obviously I'm going to share with you the solution that I have and that I have for you that I'm really excited about. But like that more than anything is like, I very much, I'm not sitting here acting as though like that's like this new community is the only place that I'm going to show up. But again, I'm saying all of this because I want you to hear the way that I'm recognizing that like where I thrive is again in that connected, intimate space. And I think so often in so many different ways, we're not giving ourselves the permission to be like, this is what feels pleasurable. This is when I feel lit up. This is what feels the most enjoyable. And we're not really identifying what about that makes that so, and being able to amplify it, right? We're kind of just so in our heads about results and all the things that we have to do, right? Where we kind of ignore the nitty gritty, if you will, of like what actually makes our energy soar, right? Like what makes our heart and soul actually enjoy what we're doing. And like I said, like I'm not somebody who necessarily wants to talk on a stage to thousands of people. I'd rather talk to 500 people who really give a shit about what I'm saying and are engaged in the conversation. And so something about that this week clicked for me in terms of like, I get to create exactly that. And I get to think a little bit outside the box here and do it in a different way. Whereas like for a while there, I was coming from a place of like, well, this is how it has to be, and resigning myself to thinking that like, okay, well, I have to just start a new free Facebook group or I have to do XYZ. And it's been really fun over the past week to kind of give myself again permission to really allow myself to create the circumstance that I want. And that's really the second point, the second thing that I want to share with you, which is this is less about the Facebook group, but this is, I think, such a good point for so many of you that I really want you to embrace here. As I said to you a couple weeks ago, I've probably said it many times. I have struggled with this podcast. I'm recording this pre-recorded now because of the changes that are about to come, which I'm going to share with you. But for the most part, I don't typically enjoy pre-recording. Like right now, I'm sitting here at my computer. I'm staring at my, Pages document with some notes on it, and it's fine. It's great. It's wonderful. But like when I can see other faces on the other side of the screen, when I can see comments, it's a whole different me. It's like I'd like to think, because you're listening to this, I'd like to think that this is good as well. But there is just something that comes alive in me when I have, I don't want to say audience, but when I have actually a live energy on the other side of the conversation, which I'm sure many of you feel as well. A common question that I'll get from clients is like, is it better to pre-record, a course, whatever it is, or should I do it live? And the answer that I have every single time is that on one hand, I enjoy doing them pre-recorded in the sense that like they're a little bit more edited. I give myself the permission to kind of like follow my notes, and, I'm able to pause and, kind of like recollect my thoughts if I have to, right? It can be a little bit less messy and a little bit more streamlined when I do it in a pre-recorded fashion. However, when I record programs live, it might be a little bit messy. If you've been in my programs, you'll have moments where you'll hear me be like, oh my God, I got to turn the air conditioner on, or like whatever it is. Like I'm in my zone, I'm in my element, and some things might happen. Ellie might start barking. Like it is what it is. But so it's a little bit messy. Sometimes there can be those moments, but it's almost always so much better, the program in and of itself, because my energy is so much more high when I am actually in this, again, sense of people, right? Like when there's actual energy on the other side of who I'm talking to. Many of you know, I will not, like, not that I will not, but like I have struggled with doing Instagram stories. I haven't tried in a very long time, but like I'm so used to doing live videos where, again, I know that you're on the other side of the screen. Then when I'm attempting to talk to my phone and I know that it's pre-recorded, I know this sounds silly, but it is something that I really struggle with. And like Gretchen used to make fun of me. She was like, because if I was like, hey guys, she's like, you sound like a teenager at the mall trying to get like subscribers for your YouTube channel. Like my voice changes. I become kind of like not a different person, but like I don't sound as fully myself as I ideally want to. And so again, I've recognized this about myself, and as much as possible, I'm allowing myself to create the circumstance that I want. And so I've struggled with exactly how to do this, right? But I knew that I had to figure out a way that felt aligned to me to be able to do live podcast recordings, right? I didn't want a friggin' video crew here. And I know that I don't want like a co-host. I've joked multiple times. I'm like, I feel like I need like the Roots, like Jimmy Fallon, like he can like laugh, turn to the side and laugh with them, or like play a random game, but like Jimmy Fallon's still the star, right? I was like, I need something like that because I just want that energy there. But again, I don't know that I want somebody like consistently, whatever. And so finally, over the past like week or so, it really dawned on me, well, number one, how actually simple this solution actually is, but number two, that I can do whatever the fuck I want. And so part of, which again, I'm going to share with you, but part of this new community that I'm building is that we are going to do things like every single Monday, I'm going to do live podcast recordings, and I'm going to do them on Zoom. And that not only means that I get to actually see faces as I'm recording, right? I've got you people with me. More than that, I love like something like Red Table Talk, right? Is like something that excites me, the concept of it so much, just having these kind of like round table open discussions about like every type of topic. And again, I haven't been able to figure out exactly how I wanted to do that, because with interviews, I still feel like I have to be like super prepared, or I have to feel like I have to run the conversation. And I don't necessarily want to do that. I love organic. Like I remember, it was last year, but I remember I did a module of my program, Practical Money Magic. And I remember just at the end of the call, like the conversation was so good. And I was just so lit up by like, not only just like what we were all talking about collectively, but like I felt on fire. I felt like other people were contributing so much to the conversation. And I'm like, that's what I want. Like, I want to take that and do that all day long. And so again, like, obviously how simple the solution actually is when we kind of like drop the ego and allow ourselves to see that. Right. And so my point in saying that is like, I love the idea that, again, I'm committing to every single Monday, not every single, I might change it from time to time. I go on vacation or something like that. But like every Monday, we're going to do live podcast recordings again on Zoom, where if you are a member of this community, you are able to join us on Zoom. And so not only can you pop on if you want to and ask a question or, like weigh in on something, but I could sit there and be like, hey, XYZ happened this weekend. It really brought this up for me. Who wants to talk about this? And we can have it be just this organic situation where we're just conversating and we're just actually having genuine conversations, because truly that's all I fucking want. All I want to do is have conversations, deep conversations about important shit all day long. And so I know myself that like when I apply pressure to the conversation, or when I feel like I have to have a script or it has to follow, a certain flow, whatever it is, I just enjoy that so much less. And I feel like we all collectively, right? Like we have so much to say and share with one another. And there are so many ways in which that we need to connect with one another. And I want to, as much as humanly possible, be somebody who allows more of that, right? Who creates more of that and allows healing and, insight in that way. And I feel like it might just seem like a small thing to you to hear me be like, oh, we're doing live podcast recordings on Zoom. That might not sound like that big of a deal, but it really feels like a big deal to me. It feels like something that is, again, there's so much more connection and intimacy and power there. And if I can, again, do that and help somebody feel, again, more heard, or that you get to, again, weigh in and share opinions, whatever it is, you get to ask your questions and get support from me. Those kind of things feel really important to me and really fun to me, and the things that light me on fire. And so I'll say it again, this move, especially with letting go of the Facebook group and creating something that is more members oriented, makes me feel so much more, again, connected, right? Connected to my community versus just anybody can be there. But also it's me taking the steps to change things and tweak things in my business so that I am creating the circumstances that I actually want, right? And again, those changes happen in the nitty-gritty details, right? They happen in the, oh, wow, I really hate, again, pre-recording podcasts. Wow, well, I'd really love to do it live. So often we think it's like so dramatic, the change that we have to make. And like going from pre-recorded to live could make all the difference about how you feel about it, right? And so again, at every given turn, right, I want you to make sure that you are paying attention to where you could, on a micro level, look at how could something feel better and how can I create more of the circumstance that I actually want for this element of marketing, for my business in general, right? Because those ways, those changes and tweaks and shifts, they normally are really simple and they are available to you. I think so often we just, again, resign ourselves to thinking things have to be a certain way. And as much as you can poke those beliefs and shift them, right, the happier you will be, of course, in your business. The happier you are in your business, the more money you will make, the more impact you will make. And so I want you to give yourself permission to, again, shift things, even if it's a little bit, odd, outside the box, uncomfortable, whatever it is. But I want you to have the circumstance that you actually desire for yourself in every capacity, right? And I have two other points, and these feel like more minor points compared to the other two things that I just shared. I mean, the algorithm sucks, right? And we all know that. And is it frustrating? Yes. Does it feel, in my opinion, almost worse than it ever has before? Yes. I have made it my mission to not complain about this because it feels like an annoying thing to complain about. We can't control it anyway. Like, we can be smart about it and we can like hack our way and we can make sure that we're, asking for engagement and things like that. We can be smart, but in Facebook, Instagram, all of it, they're going to do what they want to do. And we don't have any choice around it. And so getting as frustrated as I see so many people get about it, it has never made a whole lot of sense to me, right? Whereas at the same time, the algorithm sucks. Organic reach is rough right now, right? And so, like I said, I felt like to pour into, to show up in a super large, not super large, that's dramatic. I mean, 13,000 people is not that many people, but like to show up for people that like so many of them, again, like aren't paying a ton of attention. They're not invested in what I'm sharing. And like to do that, it felt less exciting to me. Like it wasn't feeling exciting for me to show up the way that it used to. So again, these points all tie together. They go back to the first point really, is that I value community. And so everything from, like the algorithm to the way that I'm going to be sharing, like it comes back to like, how can I create that sense of genuine, authentic community so that it lights me up and it feels more fulfilling to me, right? Not only because I want to feel fulfilled, but also because, of course, I have a business and it feels like a strategic move as well. And when I'm more fulfilled, we make more money, right? And so I just wanted to say that like that does, I want to admit that like I feel a bit frustrated by the organic reach being as bad as it is. And so I'm not doing it fully for that reason, but I'd be lying to you if that wasn't a factor. And so I just felt like I wanted to share that because like I said, I wanted to focus on maybe a smaller community, but a more connected and a more invested community versus a bigger one where I feel like sometimes, not that I'm talking to a wall, because we certainly have engagement there, but not as much as I feel like we should, and not as much as I would ideally like to, right? And again, this feels like a good solution for that. And then the fourth thing that I want to say, and I might get shit for this, and some of you might disagree with me, and I kind of disagree with me, but roll with me here. I know that, especially in the coaching industry, I think everybody feels like it's their job to preach abundance and to preach, not falling into scarcity mindset or anything like that. And, I'm sure I've been guilty of saying it many times. Like, it doesn't matter when people buy, like people will buy when they're ready and so on and so forth. And that's true. I still believe that. But it feels for me like I don't want to say this in a fear-based way, but like it feels harder than ever to reach people. And that doesn't mean it's hard or difficult or like, oh my God, it's impossible to reach people. That's not what I'm saying. But does it feel harder than it used to? Yes. Like, again, factually, fewer people so often, unless you're really showing up all the time, whatever, like fewer people, especially in Facebook groups, are seeing your stuff. And in a group of 13,000 people, when you have people who are like, let's just say, watching videos all the time or, commenting on your stuff or so on and so forth. And when you feel like a lot of people are not invested in what you're actually saying, but they're kind of just following it, I want to be so clear here that I don't think that you or anyone ever has any obligation to buy something from anyone, from me, from somebody else. If you have a sales call tomorrow and somebody is pushing you to buy, if you don't want to give them your money, don't. Right? Like I'm such a full believer in like you are not obligated to buy from anyone. So I want to be so clear the way that I'm saying that. So I'm not like sitting here being like, oh God, I'm mad at people who aren't buying or anything like that, because that's truly not the case. But if I'm also being completely honest with you, does it feel good to be churning out hours of free content a week when it's a lot of it is being delivered to oftentimes people who are not buying? And I shouldn't even say it that way, because I have plenty of people who have like bought from me at least once, right? Like the amount of like freebie people in my group are very small compared to the people who have purchased. But there's just something about putting out again, or like doing an hour-long video or masterclass or, free whatever, to have people who like are not investing or invested in your work. It just doesn't feel good. And I'm not saying that why I wanted to say this, and I debated on saying this, but why I wanted to say this is because this isn't about me. This is about me standing up for you if you are somebody who feels like you are frustrated, that like you're creating free content all the time and, you know, you're not getting the people who are buying as much as you want. Like, of course we have to look at ourselves. We have to look at, okay, well, where was the marketing off? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, of course we have to look at that. But I just want to honor you in the sense that like, it's okay for you to not enjoy working for free. And it's okay for you to choose, again, a circumstance that you want or shift gears so that it does feel good to you. And again, I'm saying this is not about me. I swear to God, this is not about me. I've just had so many clients who we've had that conversation where they're feeling like I feel like I'm putting so much into X or, you know, doing this amount of free content or whatever it is. And I feel like there are a lot of people who are like freebie seekers. And like I said, you know, there's always something we have to look at with ourselves and our marketing, right? Like there's troubleshooting to do, and maybe there's an issue in terms of energy, so on and so forth, that those things are all valid. But like, I just want to, in again, an industry that I feel like invalidates those feelings of frustration, I want to validate the fact that like, yeah, that can feel frustrating from time to time. And if you do feel frustrated by it, you can shift gears and you can find a way of doing it that feels a little bit better. And so like for me, which I feel like I've made clear as I've talked about this, but like for me, the new community, which will be called the You're Fucking Welcome Insiders community, it's not free. It's practically free. It's inexpensive. We're starting it at $19 a month, which is insanely low, insanely just like worth every single penny when it comes to the cost of it. So I'm not acting as though every single person that's going to be there is wildly invested in themselves and so on and so forth. Like I don't want to act as though $19 is, you know, like thousands of dollars. It's not. But that little price point attached, right? I feel like it's going to make such a massive difference in who is there to engage and who is there to be a little bit more invested. And it's going to weed out a lot of the people. And not that those people are wrong. I just want to be clear. Like, I'm not like making anybody wrong. But as I've said, like I thrive off of a sense of community. I thrive off of the connection with my people. So I want the connection to my people to be maintained, right? And I want to let go of the things that don't feel as good. And so again, I'm really super excited about this. We are closing the group in 2 weeks. So I'm looking at my calendar right now. In 2 weeks, April 6th, I was literally going back to March. Like I don't know what month it is. I don't know what year it is. We'll be closing the Facebook group Unstoppable Women Entrepreneurs on April 22nd. And the new community, the You're Fucking Welcome Insiders community, will be open today as you're listening to this episode. If you're listening to it the day it drops on April 7th. And it is going to be the community for you, right? The woman who wants to be the boss of her business, the leading lady of her life, and the woman who resonates with all things me, right? Like not all things me. You don't have to, you know, love Taylor Swift, any of that kind of stuff, but like you are in the You're Fucking Welcome attitude, or you want to step into it further. So we have so many really cool things planned, again, to make this a connected and collaborative community, right? So obviously you can check out the sales page, sarah-dan.com. I'm not going to go into everything right now that is included, but we've done a really cool job of including some really cool things. So like I said, you get exclusive content like the live podcast recordings via Zoom. You can attend those on Mondays, right? So the episodes will drop on Wednesdays, but you get the number one unedited version. You get to be there live. You get to ask questions, all of that kind of stuff. I'll be doing at least one weekly live video in there, probably more, right? We're going to have guest masterclasses. I have a couple already lined up for you from guest experts, everyone from, you know, marketing and business experts to sex and health experts. Because again, so much for me of what You're Fucking Welcome stands for is it's again about being the leading lady of your life and the boss of your business, right? Because if, you know, you're upset about, you know, making a $49,000 a month instead of a $50,000 a month. And like, meanwhile, you haven't, you know, slept with your spouse in 4 months. Like there's something going on there, right? Like there's something going on in terms of life. And I want to make sure as I just like go on this personal journey of healing and becoming who I want to be, I guess I should say. Like, I feel like I'm learning so many new things. I'm exploring sexually, which I want to share with you, right? Like, I want to talk about those things in a community that feels, again, like a community, right? That feels intimate. So I want to share those things. I don't want to preach at you, especially with things that I'm just like diving into myself, while at the same time you hearing from a health expert, you hearing from a sex expert that I want to bring in for you. I just really feel like as I discover new things, I just want everyone else to hear about it. I just want everyone else to know about it. Like, it feels crazy to me that like, I didn't know this. Like, God, I need to make sure everybody knows about this. And so I want this to, again, be this thing where we're shaping, right, ourselves in all ways. And it's not as simple as just, again, business and marketing, right? Because there's so many other pieces that go into like life, of course, but like the money you make. Again, it's all connected, and it's so important to really understand that, right? So other things like marketing opportunities, I want to give you opportunities to sell yourself. So we'll do things like Sell Yourself Saturday. We're going to have a member directory where you can list your website and what you do and things like that. We're going to be really intentional about having like organized topic threads, right? So because we've all been in groups where like somebody's asking the same question a million times, or, you're trying to find like a simple answer about like, I don't know, like how do you get the intro music for a podcast, whatever. I want to have all those things so that you're able to find them easily. And which I should have said earlier, but like, as we had a bigger community, we really had no choice but to put rules in place, right? And we really had no choice but to actually put on pending posts. Like, right, you have to have post approval in Unstoppable Women Entrepreneurs. And I've never liked that. I've never wanted to have that. I don't want to like shut you all up. That has never felt good. But it got to the point where it was so big that we didn't have a choice. Like, every single day we turn on Facebook and there's 15, pending posts of people that are trying to promote themselves and so on and so forth. And so this being a more curated community, we have the opportunity to like not have that, right? To turn that off, where you are able to ask questions, whether it's because you had a shitty day or because you want advice on something. I want, again, this to be this engaged audience where this is a safe space where you are able to actually have these conversations. And again, the new community having paid members in it, it's so much more conducive to open conversations and easy posting and all of that kind of stuff. Many of you have seen that I said this already, but like, no crypto motherfuckers, right? Like, and I don't understand crypto, but not that I'm even against crypto itself, but like, you all see the ridiculous comments that come in where, somebody slides in and they leave 15 freaking comments and it's gross, or you're getting the people who are sliding into your DMs and trying to sell you something else. We have a no assholes policy, right? Like, we are cutting everyone out that is not aligned or is doing icky shit, right? So that we're, again, in the sense that, like I said, I know that's not $1,000 to enter, but the $19 a month, I believe, or I feel so clearly, will weed out, right, the people who are not paying attention to the rules, so on and so forth. And it allows it to be much more of a safe space. I keep saying secret society, like in Cruel Intentions when she's talking Catherine and Cecile, but like, that's what it feels like. It feels like a little bit more of like a secret society. And again, we get to weed the assholes out, which feels like a very important part of a, again, connected community, right? You're also going to get a ton of trainings and materials. We have resource libraries that we're working on. So everything from, who we use, like what equipment we use for podcasting, what like my favorite books are, what software we use for XYZ, who are my favorite contractors. We've got some coupon codes in there for you. Then you have a ton of trainings from the Vault. We want to be really intentional about this because, I'm just going to say it transparently. I've got so much shit, right? And I'm starting to look at all the things that I have that I no longer sell, but I didn't want to throw in a bunch of leftovers, right? Like, I didn't want you to like feel like we were just throwing things at you for no actual reason. So we've been really intentional about hand selecting what things go into the vault, like from the vault into your access, essentially. So we have things like the Fuck Sales Call Masterclass I did a few weeks ago, Unapologetically You in 22. We have 21 Days to High Vibe Habits. We've got a You're Fucking Welcome mini course, a bunch of other things. And I'm sure that we'll just continue to add, but things that to me represent, again, the you're fucking welcome mindset, right? Where you are putting yourself in control of being the boss of your business and the leading lady of your life. And like I said, I'm sure more will come. That's just who I am. And that's just what I do. If I'll realize tomorrow, oh shit, we should have put this in there. Let's add it. I like to believe that I always over deliver, and God, for $19, I mean, how couldn't we? Right. And so truly, I'm really excited about this, like really, really, really excited about this. And I hope you are as well. I hope you'll join me because, like I said, if I made one point clear here today, community, genuine, authentic community is a really big deal to me. And this is our opportunity to, in my opinion, create it in a really cool way. And like I said, I'm excited about that. I hope you're excited about that. And I hope that's something that you want to join, right? Because I don't know. I don't see who wouldn't, right? But like, hopefully that's something that you're craving and you see the value of, because of course I would love to have you. So again, SaturdayShand.com, obviously, for all the details. As I'm recording this, it's $19 a month, or if you want to pay in full for the year, it's $199. The price will definitely go up at some point. I don't feel ready to do the whole launch thing where I'm saying it's going up in 2 weeks. I just don't feel ready to raise it in 2 weeks. I want to see how this goes. So it's 19 right now, and it will be 19 for a while until I decide that it's not 19 anymore. But especially, as you get in, as it's beginning, I just feel like that's the fun. That's where like the momentum will stay, but like there is that really fun buzz and momentum in the beginning. And so I would love for you to get in from the very beginning. All right. I will talk to you next episode. Bye.